They're back. Okay, how much can I pack into 6 minutes? I'm going to talk fast. So listen fast. You can always re-listen to this on the YouTube page, but I'm going to explain a lot from my own understanding. And it has to do with this sense that concurrently we have a mortal self and an infinite self going on at the same time. So the great model for this that the enlightened yogis spoke of was the model of klesha, Klesha, klesha. It means layer or sheath. And in this model, you know, it's often thought of or explained as nested Russian dolls. Fine, there's nothing wrong with that model. Today, I'm gonna break out a new one that I've thought of, and I'm gonna talk about a telescope. A telescope, one of the ones that the old-fashioned ship's captains and pirates used. It's one of the telescoping poles. It has 5 sections in it, and as you pull it out, the larger section remains and it grows increasingly smaller. And the yogis spoke of our own being in this multi-sheathed model. And let's talk about the names and the meanings of these different sheaths, from the biggest to the smallest. Our infinite body, our soul body, our God body, our Christ body, our Buddha body. Doesn't matter what you call it. Any name you give to it is just a name. It's the truth and the reality of it that matters. But that body they spoke of with a beautiful name. They called it Ananda Maya Kosha, Ananda Maya, bliss body. That's the body that we have that is, well, we think of a body having a shape, but this is the body that has no shape. It's not constrained by space or time. And it's frequently gifted mice by black cats that show up right in the middle of a talk, which is a challenge when you have 6 minutes to do it. I love you, baby. So anyway, that's our big body, Ananda Maya Kosha. You have one of those. Now, as that body pulls out, like one of these telescopes, the next body is called Vinyamaya Kosha. Vinyamaya Kosha means wisdom body or truth body. And this is where infinity achieves its most subtle ideal. And we might think of these as the finest ideals, notions, principles of existence: love, wisdom, intelligence, compassion. And we all have one of those as well. We may not know it. We may not be in any way connected or informed by it. So now the telescope of being is pulled out. It's slightly smaller. It has shape to it now. In the beginning, God spoke the word. Now we're pulling out to the next body. The next body is called Manomaya Kosha. We might consider that to be thought body. Now we begin to individuate. Now we begin to separate into our individual selves, the infinitude of the numbers that we are, because thinking involves free will. And that's one of the previous ideals that's involved in Vinya or wisdom body. So in Manomaya Kosha, all of us individuals begin to think our own thoughts, our own opinions, our own attitudes, our own angle on things. Now, our thinking might be wise and truthful and aligned, but it might be ignorant or traumatized or toxic. Be that as it may, it's far more individual. And now we've contracted into a smaller version of the universe. Now that telescope pulls out one more time, it's smaller and it's extended further from its source. That's called pranamaya kosha. And those are our feelings. And that's where we become even far more individual, because you feel something that no one else in the universe feels, and it's entirely different than what I feel. There's some commonality, but there's more dissimilarity in our feelings. And now we're very much more individuated. And now we pull the telescope out one more time, the telescope of being, and we arrive at Anamaya Kosha. It literally means meat or food body. It's the vehicle that we ride around in. I talk about it all the time. It's the Scotty dog on the Monopoly board. So at any given moment in time, you are this telescopic extension of being. You are a telescopic extension of being, rising up from or coming down from whatever model you like the best. It's a model, but it represents moving from the infinite to the finite, from something of beyond time and space, without size or shape, down into something that clearly has size or shape. Now, from our smallest sense of self, Anamaya Kosha, it can feel unbelievably separate as we're pulled back from these larger layers of being. And from our small sense of self, we can't see this larger sense of self. And our mortal mind tries to understand these larger aspects of self. How are you going to fit Anandamaya Kosha? How are you going to fit infinite consciousness beyond time and space, perfect wisdom, our larger bodies into that smaller body? And this is where the intellect and opinion and attitude can really contract and block us off, because we think that things don't go the way that we think they should, or we think that if only God did this. But that this is why it says God's ways are not our ways. From our contracted state of being, this telescope that's pulled out into this small sense of self, and to try to think that we can absorb our larger sense of self, we have it backwards. We want this larger sense of self. We want our bliss body and our wisdom body and the best thinking that leads to the best feeling, that leads to the healthiest and happiest body. That's the correct direction of being. And that's about as well as I can explain it in a 6-minute chat. Now, concurrently, you have all 5 of those bodies going on, and it's simply a matter of where your focus is going to be. For some people, focus is all the time on their physical body, my aches and my pains and my comfort. And other people, it's their feels and, oh, I'm feeling this and this happened, and they're stuck in that body. And for other people, it's manomaya kosha, it's my attitudes and opinions. But when we can make the transition from those 3 smaller bodies and move into wisdom body, start to practice the wisdom, the principles, the fundamental ideals of intelligence that govern the universe, then we can transition into bliss body. They're all running concurrently. Which one shall we pay attention to today? All right, that's as many words as I have on that. I'll see you tomorrow.